a lazy way of sitting in the air-conditioned Ministry of Finance and say, I want money. Oh, to me, it's anti-technology. We should not do it. You want 6 billion, you can have it another way. So, Minister for Finance, you need money for a good cause. Money for a good cause. Not to pay salaries and interest, but for a good cause. To develop technology. That will kill the bird that is laying the egg. It's a lazy way of sitting in the air-conditioned Ministry of Finance and say, I want money. Oh, to me, it's anti-technology. We should not do it. You want 6 billion, you can have it another way. So, Minister for Finance, you need money for a good cause. Money for a good cause. Not to pay salaries and interest, but for a good cause. To develop technology, to improve it, and you want it, I say don't go there. That will kill the bird that is laying the egg. It's a lazy way of sitting in the air-conditioned Ministry of Finance and say, I want money. Oh, to me.
Well, so a few things. Anti-technology calls it lazy. It's a lazy way. And the way he describes as sitting at the Ministry of Finance, so it means that he feels that there's no effort. No effort has been put into trying to identify a revenue measure that will fill the hole that they are trying to fill. He doesn't see effort at all. Just people sitting there and saying, oh, people are transferring mobile money, let's levy it. And he feels that that's so lazy. That's not how you put together a tax measure. There are people who are of the opinion that the e-levy cannot be a levy, that it goes against everything that taxation stands for. So it cannot be properly so-called a levy. Well, I have a couple of people who address those two issues. There is also the laziness aspect, which I'll bring in Conrad right now to speak to. And then there's also the anti-technology aspect, of course. I have another peer on. Kingsley will be joining us. So we'll deal with those two issues adequately. Those are people who are experts in those fields. Let me say, first of all, a good evening to Conrad. Good evening. Actually, good afternoon from Ghana.
Good afternoon. It's we are same time now, so we are 4 o'clock apiece. 10 past 4, I think now.
Okay. Okay.
So we joined you on the happy hour.
I hear the cold is not making it happy for you at all.
Not at all. Not this 3 degrees cold. That is quite foggy as well today.
Oh, you are 3 degrees.
Yeah, 3 degrees today. A lot of fog. So you know who was watching the Premier League, you would have seen that the Chelsea Wolves match. I could barely see the ball, talk of the players. But life still goes on. That is the determination to raise revenue, not the lazy approach out.
Wow.
Nothing stops you.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, Arnold is on. I'll be getting to him shortly. But let me start with Conrad. Conrad, you listened to Kwame Pienim. I have had a conversation with you on this whole matter of the e-levy. We understand appropriations have been passed. So let's start from that point of appropriations. There are those who are usually confused with the budget process. I guess you understand at least do you have a concern with the fact that that aspect has been passed?
Yes, in a certain sense, I have a concern. Usually, you would, in a normal budget cycle, you would have the budget passed, and when the budget is passed, you will then go ahead and have the appropriations. And in essence, appropriations is basically saying the budget statement is just saying we want to raise this amount of revenue, and this is where we'll raise it, this is how we'll raise it. We want to spend this amount of money, this is where we will spend it. So we'll probably say, okay, let's say we want to raise money through e-levy or whatever, and then we want to spend it on building a new hydroelectric dam. And then you go off and put in these legal measures of taking each item in the budget and putting it in its own right for Parliament to then go ahead and approve, to basically say, go ahead and spend. And so the logical thing you would always expect is that, you would only go about giving government that from the shopping list. Let me liken it to this. My wife comes to the shopping list, and then it's all right, this is the shopping list, that's the money, spend that on that. We agree. If we haven't agreed on a shopping list, it's a bit difficult for us to start allocating the money to it. And this is mostly in the layman's language, this is what the appropriations is about. You have a budget approved, and then you pass the appropriations on that budget, right? I'm sure Parliament itself, yes, they are master of their own rules, but there's a question they should be asking themselves. What are you busy appropriating for if the object for the appropriation is not approved? You know, it's like allocating money to specific areas to be spent when those areas haven't been approved in the budget for spending for the year, because the budget is a statement of your spending and revenue collections. What am I going to get and how am I going to spend it? So it's only when it is legally passed in Parliament. Parliament then goes into various sessions, you have the committees discussing, and you have these appropriations going on. And so personally, maybe it's a novel way of doing things, but we need to get our head around how on earth are we going ahead to pass appropriations for a budget that hasn't been approved.
For those on the MPP caucus, and of course, Joe Osei, who was acting speaker on 30th November 2021, they will say that we actually did approve the budget.
You see, this is the interesting thing, Sena. I know you brought up Bagbe's speech, which is specifically, I know it was quite long. It wasn't straight to the point and punchy as we all expected it to be. But in a certain way, it was a politician's way of basically resetting the whole case. Bagbe was very clear that the original sitting of Parliament on which the budget was rejected was valid. And he went to pains to give examples, give experiences both in Ghana and outside to support that. So there's no doubt that at the end of the day, Bagbe ruled that the original rejection of the budget was valid because all MPP MPs were present at the onset of the session and very clearly, and he gave a lot of examples dating back from 2001, where there are at least two examples under the MPP and one under the NDC. You know, where you can walk out, it's a way of legitimately protesting, but proceedings continue, and the fact that you were there at the inception of the session is valid. It gives it what you need. And so there's no doubt in our mind, one, that that budget still stands as a rejected budget. Now, Bagbe also goes ahead, and he makes it very clear that what Joe Wise did, in fact, he said Joe Wise may be Joe Wise, but not part of the three wise men. It was very clear that there is no way, and by parliamentary standards, he cited specific parliamentary standards. A deputy speaker cannot overrule the actions of a speaker. That was very clear. And so at the end of his delivery, he was clear that what Joe Wise did was unconstitutional. I think, again, here, he presented it in a certain language. Instead of being direct and straight to the point and saying what he did was unconstitutional, null and void, he almost said it in a literary sense. He used Shakespearean language to say, who am I to say that what he did was unconstitutional? And anybody who's a lover of Shakespearean language, or if you like, medieval literature, or classical literature, I should say correctly, would have realized that he basically said what Joe Wise did was wrong. And he gave examples of that. Even a deputy speaker sitting, passing any rules, cannot have, the speaker will not do that, will not reverse it, much alone a deputy speaker reversing what a speaker had done. And he again went in the whole concept of quorum. It was very clear on when you are just sitting in for the speaker because he's temporarily gone to the loo or somewhere, and when you are sitting in substantive. And for me, that is even logical. I don't need to be a lawyer to know that you can't count yourself as part of the jury and the judge at the same time. As judge, you get the jury to go and consider it and come back with a verdict, guilty or no guilty, and you do your part. You can't count yourself in the jury, and then once you've done that, come back and sit as judge. And he then concluded, Bagbe then concluded, if you look at the tail end of it, he was clear that that budget still stands rejected. What Joe Wise did was an unwise action, and what was pertained in Parliament in terms of the original rejection still stands. And he was expecting the finance minister to come back to Parliament with a revised budget for approval. And so it is exceedingly clear that that budget was rejected. Is Parliament therefore being engaging in illegalities when they proceed to start appropriating, basically putting money aside specific items in a budget that was rejected, because that's what appropriation is about. Basically, taking, okay, we've approved the budget. You want 10 million for that? Okay, there you go. 10 million for that, go. You want 20 million for one village, one dam? There you go, 20 million for that. If those were not approved, there's no way Parliament should be setting money aside. Like I said, back to me and my shopping list. If my wife and I have not approved that shopping list, in what planet will we then be aside, if you like, setting aside our income to take care of expenses or costs in that shopping list that we did not approve? There must be something wrong. And this is where I personally think, look, for whatever my view may count, Parliament is probably treading on dangerous territory and setting precedents. Because tomorrow, any government can decide, bring a budget, whether it's rejected or approved, they'll go ahead appropriating. And what are you going to say? And I think that the minority should be more steadfast than this. I know they fought a good fight. We are waiting for a budget. Yes, you can argue that it's just the e-levy, that you rejected it because of the e-levy. But you rejected the entire budget, not just the e-levy. And if the finance minister and Joe Wise and the majority are insisting that their budget was approved, then why are they bringing a revised budget? Why is it that they have agreed that they are going to go and work on the e-levy and bring a new budget to Parliament? So you see, there's a lot of contradictions in this. And from where I stand as a layman, it doesn't make sense to reject a budget and then start setting aside funding for that same budget. Of course, you can go to informal conversations and start having conversations about the other elements that you may not have had issues with. But that should not be in the form of appropriations at all, because these are legal terms. And anybody at all can challenge them later. You will set yourself in a position where in future, you don't even need budget approval. Because if you can appropriate, appropriations happen after budget approval, fact. So if you now can appropriate without budget approval, then wherein lies the validity or the essence of budget approval? So I think that I have a challenge with that. And I think that my minority or the NDC caucus in Parliament has to be firmer. They have to make sure that no peswa is spent unless that budget is approved. Otherwise, we are on a slippery slope to setting very, very dangerous precedents.
Well, since we are on that issue, I just want to take the view of Arnold Appiah shortly, and then I'll come back to you on the issue that a lot of people have been raising, the e-levy, that also says doesn't deserve even the word levy being attached to it. Well, but let me bring in Arnold on the issue of whether he is also clear in his mind as to what is happening in terms of the budget. Arnold.
Sena, good afternoon.
Afternoon. Well, Conrad seems at least clear on his mind that they should not have approved something. They should not be approving spending on something that they have not approved. Do you agree? Parliament has left all of us, even after Bagbin's address and everything, has left all of us wondering how they got here.
Well, Sena, I think that it's quite interesting how things are coming out. It's quite difficult to tell whether we are following the Constitution or we are deliberately bending down the rules just to satisfy the government of the day. I am firmly aware that there's been a whole lot of lobbying conversation going on behind the scenes just to get the minority group on the side of government to pass the budget. But out of nowhere, where this development clearly suggests a higher level of confusion. Now, what for me matters most is how the NDC handles this particular situation. The NPP, they have given their verdict. It's out there for the people to know and for the people to see. You follow social media and what's going on. Clearly, Ghanaians are not happy with the NPP. Therefore, they are looking up to the NDC to provide that solution, to be that steadfast as Conrad put it, and let the principle stand out. The budget. You ask yourself, what is it in this budget that will bring the difference? What is it in this budget that will bring that economic turnaround and put Ghana on the map? What is it in this budget that will build our infrastructure, our health system, education, our, our recreational systems, etc., etc. Technology. What is it in this budget that would ensure that various constituencies are uplifted to a standard where there could be opportunities everywhere? Does the budget meet the expectation of members in parliament if they look at the lifestyle of their constituents? Does that meet it? If it does, then of course you would want to look at how they intend to implement them to ensure that the people of Ghana will benefit. If it doesn't, you'd have to be very straightforward and look back again at your people as a matter of principle, and then reject the budget or raise questions that must be answered. The problem we have, Sena, especially with this NPP government, has to do with accountability. They don't want to account for anything. And they get upset when you question them. They feel that they are above a reproach. You don't deserve to question them as to what they've used the money for, what they are going to use the money for. What they need you to do is just to say yes to the budget. That's all they're looking for. And Ghanaians, being that smart, have decided to pose questions. They are punching holes in the budget, saying that this budget is a killer budget. This budget will reduce your income. This budget will not motivate Ghanaians to be able to, contribute immensely to the economy. So look at it carefully. The various opportunities that has been created in the past, of which you've inherited, your job is to enhance it. It is not to destroy it. And with this particular e-levy, you see, there's a principle, Sena. I always say that demand and supply. In technology, you say the sender and the receiver. That's how you put it. How I tend to put it. The principle, according to this government, and if you listen to the various, members of this government, the agri minister, the communication minister, the finance minister, all of them seem to have different opinions or different views about their own budget. And that's why, you would want to be more logical and ask yourself that, was this budget discussed at the cabinet level where all these people were there and they approved of it, like they stamped it that this budget is good to go, and they presented it to parliament, of which now there's confusion even within their own selves. It tells us that the management or the managers of the economy do not know what they're about, that they've been very lazy, they have not been sincere with the people, and now karma is here to bite them right in the neck. And that's what we face. Because technically, Sena, how do you have someone who claims to be, what's his name, the finance minister? He's been a bank manager, or he's, owned the bank for as long as God knows, right? With all these so-called men of honor that they claim that they have, best brains, and they are getting the basics wrong. Like, common sense is not even reasoning within the budget. How is that possible? It tells us that what we are facing as a country is much dire than what's been presented. But the finance minister is not being honest here. For me, what I would want to see from the finance minister, and here I'm talking about my members of parliament questioning the finance minister, is to account for the past. He has to account for the past, how we got here, to a point where if e-levy doesn't come in, the economy will be in tatters. Of course, it tells us that we barely have an economy. That's what it means. E-levy is an excuse. There is nothing in the kitty for Ghana, and i.e. for the government to use to develop the nation. But, prudent management sometimes, when it gets to situations like this is where the competence, this is where people are pushed to the highest level, and how innovative, smart they are determine whether they are fit to be where they are supposed to be. Let's ask ourselves, what innovative measures have this government put in place aside this particular e-levy that has been rejected? Nothing. So they are blocked in terms of ideas. They are blocked completely out of order. And these are the people that we have claiming to know everything. So for me, Sena, this budget and all the brouhaha going around it, it tells us one thing, that we have lost track as a country. This government does not have what it takes to save our people. This is what it means in short terms. As to whether it will be approved or not, but critically, Sena, one key point has to do with those who are lobbying, the sycophants, the hypocrites, those who are lobbying fiercely to get the minority group to abandon their principle, to turn their back on Ghanaians and support the government primarily because they feel that they are attached to the current government, either through tribal lines or political, whatever it is. These are the people that are killing the nation. And for me, the minority group must stand on its grounds and reject this budget in total. The finance minister, for me, has to resign. He just has to go. He's not lived up to expectation. And everyone knows it. If you've not lived up to expectation, what is your use in being here? You have to bow down your head in shame and walk away and pass it on to somebody who may have some capabilities to turn things around. But the minority must seek accountability. The NDC stands for probity and accountability. As a matter of principle, let the principle of our party stand in this particular issue. We are not saying that we will not, be on the side of government when it is good. But what we're saying is that we need you to account for what has brought us here. It's very important so that we learn lessons from it and ensure that it doesn't happen in the future. But when you stand on your grounds and say that by any means necessary, this budget must be passed, what it means is that you do not want to accept responsibility for anything. And clearly it shows. I just read online somebody, Akufo-Addo, is saying that yes, Ghanaians are going through hardship, but it is not his fault. Whose fault is it then? A leader who doesn't want to take responsibility for anything. A spoiled leader who believes that he has to be a president and no one has to account to him. It's like what I heard someone else also saying that he's a chief and therefore no young man can question us with regards to the land as to whether it's being used properly or otherwise. This is the mindset of this current generation that we have. The current generation running the government. That's the mindset that they have. Very appalling and pathetic. So for me, we have to stand on our grounds, think about where we're coming from, and question why we are where we are, and then look for the way forward. If they will not tell us what they've done in the past, what has caused us, and how they intend to learn from it going in the future, I'm not sure we have to approve it. We can't endorse illegality on and on and on. We can't endorse corruption as a lifestyle on and on and on. It doesn't make sense. If you endorse this budget, what will they do differently? What will they do differently? We told them that the freebies that you were given, it will come with a price. We told them that review the policies that you have on paper that you are implementing, as if you are on an island of yourself, to yourself. And they did not listen. But I believe Sena will come down to specifics.
Yeah, of course.
I will deal, technically on the main issues. But for me, I would say that this government is just a waste of time. It's just a waste of time.
Well, let me go back to Conrad. Thank you, Arnold. Conrad, the issue of the e-levy has been the sticky issue when it comes to the budget. There are those who even raise questions about the fact that this budget does not solve any of the problems that currently confronts the average Ghanaian. That what this budget seeks to do is to impose further suffering, where there's already, Ghanaians may already be at their wits' end. The e-levy has been, Kwame Pieni just described the e-levy as lazy. People sitting at the finance ministry, sitting in air conditions. Did it sound like that to you the very first time you heard it?
Absolutely, Sena. And I think Kwame Pieni is giving voice to what many people, many insignificant people like ourselves have said in a long while. If you remember from day one, we were very clear this is the laziest way to tax people. You create revenue, you grow an economy, and as you grow, people become richer, and when you are taxing, they don't complain. You don't go taxing people's capital. That is the laziest thing you could do. You keep your money on your Momo or your bank account. You want to transfer from your current account to your savings account. Government says, I'll take one part of it. Where is the value add? So I think what Kwame Pieni has said is a point that no one can assail. It is the most basic view of this e-levy. It is how else could you say it? Because it was very clear, and I know he may have put it in crude language, but that's exactly what happened. Finance minister and his chap sit at the Ministry of Finance, scratch their heads in air conditioning and say, we need to get some money. How are we going to get that money? They did not bother to think. This is not even thinking outside the box, Sena. If you look at that budget, it is pregnant with opportunities to raise that money. and I don't know whether it's on the morning show or on the previous version of this that we talked about this. There are opportunities. Look at the amount of tax exemptions we give to various companies alone. If you calculate that in this 2022 budget, we are planning to give out 2.3 billion cedis in tax exemptions. And that doesn't even cover the extra 4 billion that we give for import exemptions every year. And I can bet you, if we looked long and hard at those import exemptions, they are mostly to government cronies and people like that, and they have very little benefit to the growth of the country. You can scrap at least half of them and you have 2 billion. If you look at the tax, last year, as of March, for last year, we are giving out 5 billion cedis. 5 billion cedis in tax exemptions alone to multinational corporations who are in Ghana, who do business in Ghana, who raise their revenue in Ghana and literally export more than 99% of their profit outside the shores of Ghana. And we give them tax exemptions. The money doesn't stay in Ghana to work for Ghana. They take our extractive resources, our oil, our gold, our bauxite, our manganese. We give them tax exemptions on that. They take it and they are gone. And these are profitable commercial businesses that don't need tax exemptions. Sena, the guys doing galamsey, do they get tax exemptions? They are with crude tools. They manage to dig in, they get the good, and they make a profit. So if they can do that, why would big commercial mines need these exemptions in order to make a profit when we know that mineral prices are decent? You can cut that. Even if you were to cut that by half, that's 2.5 billion there. 2 billion from the import taxation, that's already 4.5 billion. And then look at the president's budget. The number of advisors there. The president is getting over 3.2 billion. What are they doing at the presidency that warrants that? The Ministry of Agriculture may need that. Interestingly, they have one of the largest appropriations. Ministry of Education, they may need that. What does the president need? Just presidential aides and advisors who can't even advise themselves, talk of advise the president, whose job is to just join an ADO and fly to other countries and raid ladies' hotels, as we know. That president's budget could have been trimmed by at least half. So if you cut it down to 1.5 billion, would have been saving another 1.7 billion. There are so many opportunities. This budget is heavily pregnant with opportunities for raising revenue. And Sena, there are 2 ways to raise revenue. See, if at the moment my total spending a month, let's say my budget for a month, I spend say 2,000 Ghana, and the income that I get for the month is also, let's say, 2,200 Ghana, and I make a net savings of 200 Ghana. I can create more net revenue. I can increase my net 200 Ghana difference between how much I spend of 2,000 and how much I earn of 2,200 by doing 2 things. One is to increase my revenue. Maybe get a new job that pays more, start a business that gives me more money, or ask for a pay rise from my boss. So if I increase that to 2,500 and I keep my spending at 2,000, my difference of savings is now 5,000. That's more revenue. That is easy. Or if I cannot get a new job, I cannot get a pay rise, I cannot increase my earnings, I cannot start a new business, I can cut down my expenditure from 2,000 down to maybe 1,700. By cutting down my expenditure, that extra 300 that I did not have because I was spending will now become increased net savings. I still get my 500. So I can, if I want to increase my revenue by 300 cedis, I can either increase my income coming by 300 cedis, or I can decrease my spending. And clearly, our budget is filled with a lot of unnecessary expenditure, consumption-based expenditure that is of no relevance to the growth of Ghana. How do you have a budget of 137 billion spent, 145 billion spent, only 16 billion of that is going to capital expenditure? And capital expenditure is what creates the assets that we sweat to generate more revenue. The roads, the hospitals that will employ more nurses for us to get more throughput. The schools that will employ more teachers and get students through. So, Sena, the budget is pregnant with opportunities to have raised this 6.9 billion. But the government lazily decided not to lift the finger because it would have entailed sitting down and looking through the expenditure and being prepared to take a cut. If every department took a pay cut, I'm not saying the salaries, no. Things like spending 140 million cedis on tissue paper for COVID. Things like, those are the kind of things you talk about when you're looking at the budget reviews and you're upset. If we could sit down and cut it down, then we won't be where we are. And by the way, Honorable Adongo said something. How come that when we were in crisis in COVID, there were a lot of COVID expenditure we incurred, and we all understood that. Those days are gone. Why is it that the budget has not slimmed down by the margin of that COVID expenditure? They tell us they spent an extra 19 billion on COVID, Sena. So if you spend an extra 19 billion on COVID in the COVID year of 2021, in 2022 we don't expect to have the same level of COVID. So if you simply take that, stop spending that 19 billion, guess what? We are going to now save 19 billion. That is almost 3 times what we need from the e-levy. But they have found a way of continuing to spend that 19 billion in 2022 on items we don't know when they were spent on COVID in 2021. And so when Kwame said this is the lazy man approach, he is spot on. And it's the truth. It's basic common sense, Sena. If in the year, let's say this year is your anniversary, you and your partner decide to spend 500,000 Ghana on your anniversary celebrations, it means your expenditure goes up by that much. If next year is not your anniversary, so you are just going for dinner, you are not going to go and spend and have an elaborate ceremony, why will you spend that extra 500,000 on what? And that's how we manage our personal finances. Why is the national finances any different? Where is that 19 billion that was for COVID specific? What is it now being spent on? Because we didn't spend it in 2019. We put it in 2020 to cater for COVID. So when COVID is now down, that should at least have reduced, if not disappeared. If you sit down and carefully look at it, and I'm just giving just a few, but if you go through the entire budget, there are opportunities to cut, and cut. And I'm not talking about cuts that will impugn the growth of the economy. No, because making sure that that COVID expenditure of 19 billion that was spent last year is no longer spent, how is that going to affect the economy? Because the things that were militated against the economy that necessitated the spending of this 19 billion have disappeared largely. If the president stops flying private jets, you reduce the number of assistants. Now nobody knows the public figure for the number of presidential aides or advisors. If you cut them down by half, you can save half of the budget in the presidency. You are looking at items, they are spending conferences alone, almost 42 million Ghana cedis on conferences in the Flagstaff House. How do you do that? When you were doing them on Zoom, how on earth were you doing that? When you flying to Dubai for conferences, how do you spend 42 million? So the necessary work of governance that entails sitting down and cutting down profligate expenditure, that will then allow you to be able to grow in the better parts. And that's what Kwame Pini was saying, that you don't just raise revenue to pay salaries and debt, interest on debt. No, you raise revenue to grow an economy. You raise revenue to stimulate sectors of our economy to grow them. But clearly, these guys think that raising revenue is just either paying for their sins by way of interest and salaries. After that, whatever is left, they will allocate it to toilet paper, PPE. We won't see them, but they will be chopped. So Kwame Pini is 100% right. And look, he tells us that it is anti-technology. Nobody needs to say it. In fact, Baumia himself said it. Baumia said not long ago that he's against taxes on Momo because they affect the poor the most. And these are taxes that will affect consumption. Our economy now is generally heavily reliant on Momo. If you have an economy that is spending over 560 billion Ghana cedis in Momo, and we should be hitting the billions in the next few years, it tells you that take that away. People will go back to the pillow thing. We'll put our money in the pillow. We won't transfer from current to savings so that you will tax. We won't transfer from our current account to Momo account so that you will tax. We will go to the bank after salary, the next day we'll all queue there, we draw our money, go and put it in the pillow. Of course, armed robbers may visit us, but we'll probably take our chances. And then we'll be paying cash. So if we go to buy a boy from Davi, we will pay cash. Come and collect the money. And what is going to happen is it's going to hit Momo. It's going to hit the telcos. And the revenue base will come down, which means we can't tax them as much as we get. So what Kwame Pini said, I think, It's actually surprising that it's taking this long for anybody in the MPP to realize it or to say it. Why they are fixated on it, I don't know. And why my brothers in Parliament, and I pray that our brothers in Parliament make sure that no budget with e-levy in it will be passed. They just have to work out how this appropriation bill is going to happen if you have the original budget rejected and yet the allocations to those budget items are approved to proceed. I don't know how that's going to work, but we leave that to their good judgment. But truly, Sena, Kwame Pieni has said what the wise men in Ghana are refusing to say. I don't know whether it's because of culture of silence or a dumb conscience. We should all be saying to government, there are better ways of raising this. Government knows it. It's not rocket science. Sena.
There's been a suggestion that perhaps government is going after these monies because they see it as cool chop, easy to identify, easy to grab. So there are even people who have even compared it to armed robbery. That is just easy money sitting there that they want to take away. They really don't care the impact it will have on the economy and also on the lives of those who use Momo regularly. Do you agree? Perhaps government is just looking for the easiest point out.
Absolute agreement, Sena, on 2 out of 2. One being that this is just low-hanging fruit, the easy to get one, the one that people can avoid. Agreed. The other being they do not care what the consequences on the economy will be. Agreed. Why? Because the truth is, and I think I've said this here before, they went for what they feel they can raise and just chop. They do not care about the people. And they knew very well that by going towards Momo, people will switch to bank accounts. Because before Momo, we were paying, of course, some institutions were paying with, you pay with your debit card. Right? If you have a credit card, fine, but most of us have debit card. You can pay by debit card if you went into Melcom and the likes long before Momo. So people would definitely have switched, and that's the experience in Tanzania, the experience in Malawi, the experience in Uganda, when they went Momo and didn't touch bank. So this callous government, this wicked government deliberately decided to rope in bank transfers to stop us from using the other route out. And then they smile and say, we have locked you. So there's no way we're going to go. So they found that as the easiest way. There are other more sophisticated ways of revenue. There are other better ways by which you can stimulate the economy, grow it, and get your revenue. But that is hard work. Everyone knows it, Sena. Everyone knows that it is hard work. And so that particular item of the fact that they went after it because they knew that it was the easiest way to raise revenue is fact. The other matter of they do not care, again, it is factual. In fact, their conduct long before this already shows that they do not care. Why? Why will you have a government, an economy that was in crisis, an economy that went in October to the IMF to deceitfully raise a bond in the name of green bonds and social bonds? No, these guys are crooks. They are green bonds. Green bonds for who in Ghana? We are looking for KJ to chop. You are telling us green bonds. Anyway, they went in October to claim bonds, and the international community looked them in the eye and said, you have borrowed so much, you are now literally debt locked, debt stressed. We won't give you the money. They refused them the money in October. That same month, how many times did Nana Addo hire his private jet when we had the national, the presidential jet sitting there? He carried on flying as if nothing had happened. He carried on bathing in the sky bathrooms as if nothing had happened. He did not care. If you look at the performance of last year's budget, the budget refused. The kind of nuisance items that our monies were spent on. And they are unapologetic about it. That tells you that they do not care. So if you look at these two things, the way government is profligate in its expenditure, government is unwilling to even tell us how much has been spent on hiring private jets and where. They cite security reasons. It tells you they do not care. So we've always known they never cared. This e-levy thing has taken it to another level, where not only do they not care, but they are prepared to sacrifice the lives of the most vulnerable in Ghana on the altar of their profligate lifestyles and basically ripping Ghana off, stealing Ghana's resources, Sena.
Well, thank you. Let me then jump to Arnold Appiah on this whole matter of payment platforms. Arnold, I know you have your own views you would like to share on this matter. But just by way of a bit of a commentary on what Kwame Pieni said, you agree on the issue of laziness and the anti-technology aspect. That seems very important to him. Everybody seems to be moving towards digital payment platforms. And that was what we are supposed to be moving into, a cashless economy. And then government is introducing this. You agree on the part of that it doesn't help this agenda at all?
Yes, and it doesn't. It doesn't do us any favor. Sena, the world that we live in today is a sophisticated world. It is a sophisticated world, not just by the environment, by the people themselves. Now, people have developed means of which they can do things much faster, much easier, and earn results. Primarily, that's the principle. Therefore, the internet provides that platform where you can connect with various, platforms and transact businesses and make life much easier for yourself. Now, if you look at the principle of where government then comes in, government's own is to generate resources or revenues from the various transactions that happens on a daily basis. It is because the belief here is that government creates that platform, that enabling environment of which these businesses thrive on. And therefore, if the government is creating all these opportunities for you, yours is to also do what? Pay your part so that more opportunities will be created elsewhere. So the principle is good. The principle is good. Now, an era where we are, as a country, we are trying to adapt. We've moved, gradually and graciously to a standard where, back in the days, you walk to the bank with your checkbook. We moved, we moved to ATM, texting, and now we've gotten to this platform where, it's a matter of, you can even have your card stored with an account on in the cloud, and then you can transact businesses without you having to have physical cash on you, and it will be authenticated, and the money will move nicely. This is the environment that we are in, and it is the fast way for government to do business. It is the fast way for the country to generate revenue. However, what you have to consider is that, like they say, you crawl, you walk, and then you run. When the people that you are attracting them, to be on such platforms and start doing such transactions so that you can earn something, is not fully equipped, does not have the thorough understanding, and do not have the capacity to even trust the system, you do not want to tamper with it whatsoever. You just have to monitor and encourage it to grow, for it to get to a certain standard where you know that now it is a lifestyle. Now the people truly understand what this is. They can't do without it, and this is what they prefer, with no options. Then you can make provisions and also making sure that you can derive something out of it. But where people, it's like a practice or an experience that has not been certified 100% by the people, and then you start saying that I'm going to survive on what we are practicing to see how it's going to work. It tells us one thing: you are lazy and you have no vision. You are lazy and you have no vision. But Sena, there's one critical area that I would want us to pay attention to here. Aside the politics of it, there are certain people who are being paid to ensure that the government rakes in more revenue. There are certain people who are being paid to ensure that the revenue that gets generated is put to good use. Two areas. Let me focus on one: the Ghana Revenue Authority. What's their position on this particular matter? Is this institution serving as an advisory body to the Ministry of Finance, of which, with the years and years of experience, I don't know who the current boss is. I strongly believe that he is part of that the salary group called, is it what, category 32 or cap 30 people, right? These are the people that they have 4 cars on standby. They are being paid for their homes. They are paid their kids' school fees. Like, they get almost everything for free, because the belief here is that they bring something unique, something purposeful. They have some competence that can change the dynamics of the country at any time of distress, especially in moments like this. That's why they are being paid so much. With all the experience, I strongly believe that he may have masters in all the masters that you may think about. So he's earned his current position. How come he's quiet? What is he then being paid for? GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority, the institution responsible in generating the resources, the institution responsible in reviewing, making recommendations, and ensuring that we put in measures to make sure we get a targeted result at any time. What's their position on this subject matter? They are quiet. They are not saying anything. They are not saying anything. People are being paid. People are milking the money. People are getting money from that institution. And they are saying that they have nothing to say, but rather we should just focus on the finance minister and deal with him. Do you know why? It means that they are just a subject, a poodle, a puppet to the finance ministry. The politics of the day has taken over to a point where that we can't even identify the technocrats to stand on their own and speak on behalf of the people. What's the position of the director for finance in this matter? I believe that you have various directors at the finance ministry, and they claim they are the ones that provides the technical advice to the finance minister. What's their position on this matter? They are accountable to the people of Ghana because they are paid by the taxpayers' money. Akufo-Addo doesn't pay them from his personal pocket. He doesn't. And the finance minister doesn't do that as well. So why is it that all the technocrats, people that are being paid more money to get a job done, are quiet? They are not saying anything. And rather, the politicians are the ones, at the forefront. So you see, there's a conundrum here, Sena. The civil servants and the politician, but the politics of Ghana, our politics of today, is so nasty in a way that does not even provide the platform for real Ghanaians, true Ghanaians, persons who have the capacity to provide in helping Ghana to speak and contribute. Because at the end of the day, somebody's vision is what must come to must be realized. And it also brings to the fore, Sena, the point where we've constantly maintained that, look, the essence of governance is to be able to rally the people to understand the vision, own the vision, and run with the vision. When they understand you, when you're genuine and sincere, the people themselves will find ways and means to do it, to make sure that your vision is realized. How do you put up a budget and the people do not have a clue of what the budget is? That it has been a total rejection. Why? How? How is that possible? Are you ruling? Are you governing? Or it is just you, what you want, then must be done? And clearly, what we see today is a government in place that is not for the people, by the people, about the people, by themselves. And that is the reason why they put up a budget and the whole country goes like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Ideally, once upon a time, the NPP that you would say that, had a certain class of people that irrespective will always jump to their defense. Now they are quiet. Even them, they are quiet about it. Is it hypocrisy? Is it that they've lost confidence? Is it despondency? It raises more questions as of now for us to then begin to question what this government stands for and what exactly they are doing. Clearly, there's a gap between the people, the administration, and for the government, it's like scavengers. They are just looking for every opportunity to milk the people. Why says, like Conrad rightly put it, this is the moment of austerity measures. I recall when President Mills took over in 2008, the NDC inherited twin deficit. You remember the gang of 4 roads that, those things that in Ashanti region, Greater Accra, that has to build, etc., of which it virtually collapsed the economy. Remember, we had to sell off Ghana Telecom, so on and so on and so forth. And at that time, even NIB was on its knees, collapsed totally. What did President Mills do? He said it's time for us to initiate austerity measures. We are cutting down on traveling. We are not purchasing cars. We are not going to give allowances here and there, on and on and on. We want the economy to breathe. And that is one of the reasons why NIB even is still in existence for today. Ask yourself, COVID situation as they use as an excuse. For me, I don't believe that COVID is the reason why Ghana is broke. Ghana was broke immediately Akufo-Addo took over and then employed 125 ministers with thousands of appointees at the presidency. That's when I realized that there's nothing good going to come out of this economy. Because human resource-wise, if you employ so much people, what it means is that the output is supposed to be that huge, a great of an impact on the people or the economy or whatever business that you're running. In this instance, how do you recruit more people into an organization that yields no output? If you wear your economic books and your accountant picks up and says that we are spending so much on emolument, we are spending so much on salary, we are spending so much on luxurious, issues, and the returns is not matching, any sensible person would say, okay, then let's review it.
Because we are not here to make losses. We are here to make profits for the nation. In this instance, with the people that you employed, the output, are we making profit? Then let them begin to question the policies and programs of this particular administration. So now, you recall their first term, everything was under free SHS, everything free SHS, free SHS. When people were complaining that, look, you are starving other ministries, you're not generating enough resources. The propaganda constantly was, it is free SHS, free SHS, free SHS. We said it, that the day of reckoning will come for us to see the true state of the economy of Ghana. Free water, free electricity, so-called free SHS, and everything that they tag free. Today, let's ask ourselves, are they free anymore? Are we paying twice or three times of what they once upon a time told us it was free? These are the realities of what we are faced with. These are the realities that as a country we are faced with. A government that doesn't have the technical know-how, a government that doesn't have the commitment, a government that is not sincere, a government that is full of itself, of enriching itself. That's how they act. So in terms of what we can do to grow the economy, in terms of what we can do to motivate, encourage, and attract people to begin to trade, is what this government is blocking, and i.e. it's a technological platform. Let me say this, Sena. Any smart administrator or economist will do the research. Yes, a lot of businesses going on in Ghana, brisk businesses everywhere, right? Number one tool is this e-transactions. There are various applications online that people are using to trade. People are trading on Facebook, on our media, Instagram, whatever platform, PayPal, Don't Call Me, what's the name, Tonatom, all these, thousands of platforms of which Ghanaians are trading on. Okay, what you would want to do is that your GRA people, your IT people, your auditors, what they do is that they research in finding ways and means of which they can identify people who are truly swerving taxes or paying taxes through the various apps. And here, through our policies and whatever agreement that we have with these international agencies, you can have access to know how much transactions goes on in every area. And here, Bank of Ghana also plays a key role here. I don't know their functions anymore. I don't know Bank of Ghana, their functions anymore. Where they are needed most, they don't even speak at all. They don't provide any solution, any recommendations at all. This is where they come in and then begin to look at the various platforms and see there are a lot of boutiques online, true or false, a lot of stores online. People are selling bottles, cans, juice, everything online. That to a point where now, if any social media influencer posts something on a platform on his wall, then you have the business people also posting their business at the comment section because people will go there and comment on them. This is how smart people act. This is how smart people act. You look at the various technical means of which you can bring in more revenue through these things. So you encourage, you create that, for want of a better word, that virtual system that will let everybody feel that, oh, this is the better way, this is the most trusted way. And then along the line, you technically, begin to rake in 0 by 0, 1 by 1, 2 by 2. But this government, you can't think with them. They are bereft of ideas. They're just stuck where they are. And they are targeting the few who have decided to be very religious in paying taxes, or they are put in a situation where they cannot escape but by paying taxes. And they are milking them. Like, they feel like, let's say the 20-30% of the people are those that are more or less like helping the country. So they are taxing them left, right, center. And 70% of the people, they are not paying any taxes. And you want to ask yourself that even the government appointees, aside their salaries that, of course, you may tax, are they paying taxes on the so-called businesses and other transactions that they are doing locally? Are they doing that? Does the government put in checks and balances to ensure that their own people even pay the right taxes? No, because the whole agenda is about themselves and not the people. That's the whole concept here. So logical reasoning is out of the equation. Sensible platforms, engaging the right stakeholders, no, because we will be exposed and we are not ready to get exposed. Therefore, let's maintain our position on this matter. Let's find ways and means to ensure that we push this down the throat of Ghanaians and make the money out of it, and then we walk away. Because at the end of the day, you want to ask yourself, all this money that's so common that you're looking for, what are you going to use for? What are you going to use the money for? Because we take revenue to invest, to grow the economy, to grow the country, some short, medium, and long term. In this particular instance, look at the budget. This budget is not ambitious. This budget doesn't seek to solve any problem of Ghana. It's just a consumption budget. Let's pay ourselves, let's pay, and pretend we are running the government. That's what it's all about. What is what is in this budget for the 20-year-old guy? Just yesterday, was the last 2 days, I was listening to one of the local news, and the University of Education of Winneba has, churned out 11,000 graduates. I said, Jesus. 11,000 graduates. Great for our country. But what is it on standby for them? These are the questions that we keep asking. What would they get at the end of the day after 11,000 people are churned up from one university? You can confidently say that the other universities will also come up with similar numbers. As a government, your job is to be able to create that enabling environment that can absorb these people so that they can work and also contribute their quota to the economy. But where 1 month's salary is equivalent to like 15 or 20 civil servants and all the largesse, how can the economy grow? And they're not willing to listen. They're not willing to let go at any time. Which business manager runs a system like this? In their own conscience, they are holding on to what have caused this problem. They are standing on their ground that this is what at all costs must happen. Forget about what we've done. We are not going to change our mood, but we need more to be able to continue to do what we are doing now. Where lies the principle here?
Well,
are they just being lazy, or they're just being vicious as well? It's a combination. They know exactly that they are being lazy. They know they don't have the ideas. They know there are people out there who can provide the right solutions, but they don't want to be exposed. Therefore, let's play the politics as usual. Let's find people, let's buy people to lobby the other side. Let's pay them off so that they can also say, oh, for the development or for the betterment of our country, let's just go ahead and endorse it. No, we will not support this illegality. And NDC must get it clear. And I believe that our position has been made loud and loud and loud about this particular situation, that this budget doesn't seek to grow the people. It does not create any opportunity. It rather dampens the spirit and demoralize Ghanaians in contributing to the economy of this country. So for me, Sena, it's a lazy way. They are trying to hide their iniquities. They don't want to be exposed, and they are playing to the gallery, the politics of the day. They also believe that at the end of the day, the budget will be passed. At the end of the day, A-level will come to fruition. And people are being questioned that the NDC saying that if this particular A-level thing is passed, when they come to office, they will scrap it. First of all, this thing must not start because it has long-term effect. It has a long-term effect. The economy that is booming on the continent of Africa, where people are taking advantage, Ghana must have its share. Ghana must have its share. Ghana needs more platforms. Ghana needs more social media platforms, more transactional platforms where people can transact all over the world. And Sena, look, you see, I don't want to be seen as just talk. But like Conrad said, if they're not being lazy and they are very sincere people, they'll see that, look, there's money everywhere. There's money everywhere. As I sit here, Sena, I am always sending money. As I sit here, I am always sending money. If you want to be that mean, let's say, if you want to a better way, if you want to be that mean, me, as I sit here, and my grandmother that sits in somewhere, who would you charge? Who would you charge? Like I said, the sender and the receiver. Here, they want to, what do you call it? Charge the receiver, then they want to charge the sender. And because they think that if the receiver has received 1,000 Ghana cedis, it means that the person has the capacity to, have that particular money or even do more. And therefore, they would also come in and make their own money. That's what it's all about. But what they refuse to acknowledge is, like I said, they are not being smart. They don't have the right auditors. Should I use the word audit? Yes, they don't have the right auditors who can sit down and do the math very well and tell them where to rake in the money. They don't. And because they are cronies, they are friends, they are afraid to go to their own people and tell them that, hey, it's not going so well. This is not what we planned. And therefore, it's high time, all of us cut down. It's high time we begin to do what is right by the people. They can't do that. So in their own conscience, they are blocked from doing anything. So we will pay the price for it. Eventually, if we allow this thing to go on, this illegal thing, we'll pay the price for it. And it will not be funny at all. Let's push these people to be very innovative. It's time for accountability. It's time for accountability. Let them account for every penny that they've taken from the Ghanaian coffers. Every dollar that they've borrowed, it's time for them to account for it. If you do not account for it, for us to know the investment, what you've done with the money, what's the point in giving you more money? What's the point in giving you more money? If you go to any transaction, they'll tell you that you want more money. They'll ask you, what have you done in the past? Let your resume speak for itself. What resume do they have for us to review and then say they are fit for the job? Let's provide them more money. Nothing. It's a useless, lousy, lazy government, Sena. Thank you.
Well, I'll come back to that issue because, of course, there are very tricky issues involving Parliament with the numbers game and everything, but I'll come back to that. Let me jump to Conrad. Conrad, the issue that Arnold was just speaking about, there is also the issue of payment systems, of course. Where you work, I'm sure payment systems are particularly important, especially a movement towards a cashless system. Does this help?
Well, when you talk about cashless payment system, definitely this doesn't help, because every cashless payment system, and people invest in those payment systems with the view that they can make returns. And those returns, because the volume of payments is where most institutions make their money. It's not necessarily in the value. Because if you look at the number of transactions, you probably don't even have up to 10% of your transactions where people are sending 100,000 Ghana and all that kind of stuff via Momo, if you use that as a payment system, if you like. But of course, if you have 1 billion 10 cedis, that is 10 billion. And that is where it's the volumes, the throughput. And most of these people that process, these payment service providers, the PSPs, and all the people that are in the chain, they make a nearly infinitesimal portion of every transaction. But as the volumes escalate, they make a lot more money. And this is where you will have, look, if my institution, you have a telco, for example, invest in mobile money infrastructure, they intend that the volumes will go up so that they can keep their charges low. In fact, I know one of them doesn't charge. Most of them charge. But if the volumes go up such that the portion that they can get, the profit they make from it, because there are so many ways payment service providers make their money. Sometimes not necessarily from the customer. Sometimes they actually make money from the merchant that the customer might, because some merchants incentivize, allow payment service providers to facilitate easy payments and consumption of their goods, which means they can return something to them. So when you look at this payment service system, the entire value chain, right from the issuers, or whether it's by card issuers through to the acquirers and those who pay and settle, and I'll try and keep the technicals low, down to the individual telco that just says, I'm charging you 1%. They rely on the volumes. Now, if the majority of transactions are volumes, are mainly low volumes, this tells you that those consumers that only transfer maybe 100 Ghana every week or every month, or 200 Ghana or 300 Ghana here and there, will be very, very sensitive to any attempt to take their money. And it makes sense as well, because somebody transferring 100,000 on average will not care so much about the deductions you are making relative to someone who is transferring their last 1,200 Ghana to their ward to pay university fees. And we all do that, our cousins, our wards, our nephews, our relatives, our own kids. You'll be very sensitive to it. And if you only have 1,200 to give to your son, you live in a village, they live hundreds of miles away, if not thousands, in Accra, and you want to send this money to them, and a portion of it is taken, where are you going to get the extra? So there is going to be an impact on these payment service providers as well, because look, if consumption goes, if we all go the pillow way, and go out, draw our money and put in the pillow, and mobile money volumes come down, it's going to hit the profitability of the telcos. Because mobile money has been one of the fastest growing line of business for telcos. So you see, what's going to happen is not only will you have people, if the impact is not just going to be on people withdrawing, which means what government intended to raise will be far, far, far lower than they wanted to. It will also have a knock-on impact on the telcos and all those companies that support them by way of payment processing. And if that knock-on impact hits them, their revenue will come down. And if their revenue comes down and their costs stay there, their profits will come down. And if their profits come down, the percentage of tax we get from them by way of corporation tax will be smaller. So you can see how this is going to trickle through the value chain. It's going to affect the payment service providers. You know, definitely it's going to affect them. It's going to affect especially the telcos. And it's going to have a knock-on impact on corporation tax in the sense that if, say, Vodafone was making 100 million Ghana cedis in profits from Momo, right? And we are taxing them at 20%. We were getting 20 million from them at the end of the year. If through this chaotic Momo tax, they now drop down to only 10 million. Let's call that the worst case scenario. And our 20% is still on the 10 million. We're not going to get 2 million. So government would have lost what? 2 million what? 80 million Ghana cedis just because of this. And it takes us back to what Kwame Pin was saying. They didn't think it through. It was a very lazy way of doing things without thinking about how it's going to hit the value chain of Momo. Because Momo didn't just, it's not like a switch you just flick on and off. We just make the payment, it goes, but there are so many people in between. There are so many sub-companies that also support these telcos. It's an elaborate infrastructure, and it has to be paid for by volumes. And so this is not going to hit just the customer. It's not just going to reduce government revenue. It's also going to hit the telcos, reduce their profits that they were getting from Momo, which means government's taxation of those profits will also come down. So I agree entirely, this is going to have a knock-on impact on that. And the more sophisticated your payment system, oftentimes the more costly it is to maintain. And you rely on throughput and volumes to be able to make those small 1 peso. If you have 10 billion 1 pesos, you know how much you are getting. So I agree with you entirely that this is going to have a negative impact on PSPs and all the people in that value chain that provide the payment of the Momo payment in terms of transferring your money from a bank account to Momo, in terms of paying merchants using Momo, in terms of transferring from Momo, from MTN to Vodafone, and so on and so forth. It is going to have massive impact on that. And I'm very sure, of course, because of they don't want to all talk. So, I mean, there's a culture of silence to begin with. But the Chamber of Business, they should have been scratching their heads now. I know when this thing started, some people in the core, the traditional banks, were thinking, okay, if banks are not affected, it may not affect us because people will switch to just using their debit cards, paying from their bank accounts. But guess what? It's not affecting, it's going to affect you. So the Association of Bankers, those institutions, they need to also be speaking. This is not just a problem for the ordinary Ghanaian. The ordinary Ghanaian will vote with the pillow piggy bank. And the banks are going to see the monies they have in drawn down. Because now I have Momo, so I don't go and put it under my pillow. If I need it, I transfer from my bank to my Momo and I transact. If I don't use Momo, I am drawing it down. It's going to have a knock-on impact on savings in the country. Because if I spend 10 Ghana a day and I had, I mean, there are 30 days, I multiply that by 10 by 30. You know, if I have 300 sitting in the bank account, I'll take 10 today, tomorrow 10 today. The last 10 would have been in the account for at least 29 days, which the banks would have used to lend to people and make some interest on that. Now, if I go and take all that 300 and put it under my pillow to spend, the banks won't get that 300 anymore. So you can see how this is like, you know, the roots of a tree. It spreads out through the entire system, both in the payment system, in the normal transaction system. It will have an impact on how much borrowers or not how much savers or people are prepared to keep in banks, which will affect the deposit that banks hold. This will have a massive ramification. I'm surprised the Bank of Ghana governor is not talking to Foriata on this. This is a reckless move. It's a lazy move, not well thought through. Because Momo has come to stay. Momo is now so intrinsic, it's so built in, it's so wired into all parts of our banking system that any attempt that reduces volumes of Momo and makes people walk away from it is going to hit banks in losses. All the technological investments, remember PNMO says anti-technology. So if you went and bought funky brand new kit to support Momo, there you go. Momo goes down. Whatever your business, if you have to invest to make sure that you're able to take Momo, right? Now, people reduce Momo. It's going to hit you. And this is part of the whole reason why it's not just the consumers that should be complaining, but the payment service providers, the telcos, the banks, they all have to come together and say to government, yes, you need taxation. What you have now, let us cut expenditure. Let us raise that 6.9 billion through other easy means already available, and only consider this as a means of last resort.
Now, there seems to be a clear move against this particular e-levy. People say we may accept the budget, everything else in the budget, but the e-levy cannot be accepted. Now, there's the suggestion that the NDC in Parliament cannot accept it. Well, on a good day, they will be defeated in Parliament, clearly, if the numbers actually rearrange themselves properly. There's a 138 against the 137, so they will be defeated in Parliament. And I can list a lot of things that have gone through under this government, which we've argued against, which we said is improper, which we managed to convince everybody that what they are proceeding with does not make sense. But at the end of the day, you have an MPP group in Parliament that does not even think about their constituents. All they know is that whatever drops from government's mouth is the best idea ever this world has ever had. Are we approaching this wrongly by trying to perhaps nudge the NDC side, only the NDC side, when clearly they do not have the numbers and may fail if we continue to do so without necessarily telling all members in Parliament that this does not work for the Ghanaian? You can't go ahead with this. Do you think that the way we are handling this politically for the average Ghanaian and for civil society, we are over-concentrating on one side that may not necessarily have the resources to be able to stop this?
There is a school of thought is actually a valid way of looking at things. Two things I would say. Yes, if Ghanaians get to a point where they are overly fixating on just the minority to pull this through, without appealing to the conscience of MPP MPs and the independent MP in Parliament, I think that will be doing great injustice to the MPs on the NDC side. And the reason is this: the MPP is in government, not the NDC. So Ghanaians should primarily be slating the MPP and not necessarily overly fixating on the NDC and saying, if you don't get this to pass, it means that there's no point voting for you. I disagree with that view. The NDC has justified its numbers in Parliament. They've been able to reject this. But I also believe one thing. See, strength doesn't always lie in numbers. Sometimes one good egg is better than 10 bad eggs, because that one good egg can hatch a chick. Those 10 bad eggs will hatch a 0. Sometimes in military warfare, numbers help, but your strategy is better. And that is why you have great generals like Alexander the Great that defeated an entire Persian army that was several tens of thousands bigger than it, because it had a strategy. Now, so far, the NDC MPs, I would pay credence to them. They have done very well. They have kept this issue in the public limelight. Okay, bar a stumble or two, a slip of the tongue by our honorable minority leader on this e-levy, they have done well. They have worked themselves into line. They all showed up, all 137 in Parliament, and that is what gave MPP the chill. That made them work out on their own budget. Now, if the minority continues, and see, it brings out a certain thing. It makes Ghanaians see clearly that the NDC is pro-Ghanaian, pro-poor, pro-business. No nuisance taxes. It will, I believe, just like we managed to get Bagman elected, even though we are 137 against the 138, it is possible. There is no denying that there are many MPP MPs who don't like this e-levy. It's just that, you see, unfortunately in our politics, we lack a lot of politicians of conviction. Politicians who can look the executive in the eye and say, I am in your party, I am your MP to develop this country. But this route you are going down, I'm not giving you my vote. Even if it means it's the last thing I do as MP, so be it. If we had that, Sena, we wouldn't even need to be going through this. And the MPP also knows it. That is why they had ministers who are not parliamentarians in Parliament. They had heads of they literally corralled all their forces to parliament, almost assigning each person to watch each MP in their side to make sure none of them does the other thing. Because I believe, honestly and sincerely, that if this was put to a secret vote, if the minority can push this and push this till we get to a secret vote, there is no denying the fact that a sizable majority of the MPP will rescue the party itself, the MPP party itself, by voting against e-levy. Because this e-levy will be the millstone that sinks the MPP. So I am confident what we need is for our party, the NDC, to stick to its guns. No retreat, no surrender. Don't withdraw. Do not give 1 inch. Don't yield any quarter. All 137 on the day. If this comes back to Parliament, and unfortunately, the 137 plus 1 neutral in the MPP decide to go ahead and pass it, then we know that we fought a good fight. We did what Ghanaians had to do. And I believe that Ghanaians will credit the NDC MPs and call them as gallant heroes. Even if we lose, we will have what? Succeeded, in the sense that Ghanaians will trust us. Trust is a word that we can't afford to betray. Remember the vettings and how Ghanaians were disappointed with us when we had opportunities. If we strike while this metal is hot, not for strategic partisan political gain, but for the good of Ghana. Every seller of our boy, every Momo agent, they are all now waiting for the NDC to do the magic we did. We got backbone in, we rejected this budget, we can do it again. And I believe our good, honorable MPs will carry on. No retreat, no surrender until this e-levy thing is done. Yes, we should not labor under the burden of over-expectation from Ghanaians. But I think that Ghanaians trust us because we did wonders with 137, and that's why they are fixating on us. The fact Ghanaians are not looking on the MPP is a bit disappointing. We expected them to look there, but it's also a testament that Ghanaians have given up on them. Even today, the president admitted that there are actions in Ghana, just that he refused to admit that he committed. He is the one who is responsible for it. So that tells us that this government, it's clear that they battled their way into power. We can show Ghanaians as 137 gallant heroes in parliament. We, the NDC, can show Ghanaians what governance is about. Protecting the ordinary man from hardship and from a wicked government, and making sure that fairness pervades through the revenue, taxation, the income raising, and spending priorities of the government.
Arnold. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Arnold, can you hear me? Thank you, Conrad. Thank you. I'll come back to you on the next issue. But Arnold, can you hear me?
Yes, and I can hear you.
So I know you heard the question I posed to Conrad, so perhaps to you too. What do you say?
Sena, the politics of it. I think that it only reminds me that there's a saying that he who pelts one with pebbles asks for rocks in return. Once upon a time when the NDC was in that tight corner where they needed a homegrown policy and also submit to the international partners for partnership, consultation and partnership, what the NDC did was to bring on board as many stakeholders, key institutions as possible, for all of them to jaw and come to an agreement of what will work. And that was the Century Conference. Many, persons were invited, including the NPP, through Honorable, I don't call him Honorable, what's his name? Asaf Maf. Asaf Maf, I think, initially agreed to be there, but the NPP stood on its grounds that no, you are not going. Leave them alone, let them wallow. This is not about Ghana. This is all about the NPP. And at the end of the day, guess what happened? He didn't go. They criticized and bastardized and even destroyed that particular program. Did all propaganda, everything, just like they did with President Mohammed's investment at the energy sector. corruption, did it on and on and on. But the key point here is this, Sena. We are Ghanaians. We want the betterment of our country. But there's one thing, principles always stand. Yes, sometimes you bend the rules just to make things happen, but your conscience must serve you right in that process. I have always maintained, there's a saying that if you fool me once, shame on you, or first fool is not a fool, but a second fool. A fool is a fool. Whether the first or second, it doesn't matter. You've been fooled once, you're a fool. You learn from it and make sure you don't get fooled again, but make it a point to accept that you got fooled, or you once upon a time you're fooled. That's the principle. At the end of the day, whatever that they did, whatever position that they took and how they played the propaganda, Ghanaians did not say that, oh, let's, for the sake of Ghana, please don't do this, whatever. Ghanaians gave the vote to them. That's the bottom line. And this is the same thing that I would want to tell the NDC, my party, that I dearly love, that look, don't listen to those voices that are coming from the dark places. Let the conviction stand and don't be afraid. As a matter of principle, look within your strength. You are more powerful than the NPP anytime, any day. I've always maintained that there is no way the NPP can match the NDC anytime. It's just unfortunate so that we have leadership that sometimes, goes the other way around and things take a different turn. But on the grounds, with regards to the strength of the NDC and the NPP, NPP stands no chance. And they know it. And they know it. In this particular instance, the survival, the progress, the sweat, toil, blood of the NDC is on the line. And it's falls straight in the hands of our members in parliament. They know for a fact that they have over a zillion support from the NDC members, but not that Ghanaians in general. The essence of being in parliament, the essence of being part of the NDC, the essence of which June 4th, etc., the revolution came to being, is as a result of some of these principles. You may not have been part of it in the past, but once you've joined, you cannot turn your back on it. It gets to a point where you look and you dig down and see what will strengthen your party. If your party is strengthened, if your party means well, what it means is that it will reflect in the lives of the people, because when you get opportunity to come to office, you will govern rightly with the people and they'll have the benefit of what you're talking about. So the politics of Sena, I will tell you, the NDC must capitalize on this particular instance. Look, I am disappointed. As a matter of fact, I'm disappointed. I am disappointed in some of our leaders in the NDC. And I'm not going to mince words on that. And I'll mention names with time. Senator, there's a logic out here why I believe that the NDC, is not taking advantage. Political science, let's go into it. The science of politics of today, how sophisticated it is. You look at, and here, strategy comes to play. You look at the past, the present, and the future, right? In the past, to be able to draw a conclusion to satisfy your own self, what do? You have to listen, go to the ground, listen to people, what they say, on and on and on and on, and get that boost. Now we listen to radio, on and on and on. Now we've moved all the way to the social media, right? Where people comment, for a fact, especially here in the United States in the advanced world, if whatever you want to sell, people go to the reviews and they read comments of your product, what people have said or what people are saying about you, and then they form their decision based on the reviews as to whether your business will survive or will not survive. You get 3 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, 2 stars. The reviews of people, the comments, can collapse your business in no time. That is the position of the people. In this instance, NDC must listen to the people, listen to the views, opinions, because these views, opinions are the ones that will go in the ballot on 7 December. That's what is going to happen. The young people who are largely on social media, someone with 3,000 followers, 6,000 followers, and people are just all over the place. supporting them, either for or against. These are the people that will go to the box, and millions of Ghanaians as well, and go and do what? Vote. They have their position. You may not hear directly from them. They will not be on radio, but that's the essence of which you have a research department. That's the reason why you have intellect. That's the reason you have professionals as a political party. And here I'm talking about looking at the structure of the NDC and how we are behaving, while we are letting go major opportunities. How on good earth, Sena, to a point that now, look at this budget, this particular E-levy thing. Ghanaians have come out and even devised ways and means to show that they are not in support. I'm going to read something from you, from one gentleman on Twitter. He's called Peter, whatever, Martin, excuse me, with your indulgence. He said, how to survive the impending imposition of the E-levy. Use cash, 1. 2, make ATM withdrawals only on your bank's machines. 3, make payments with checks. 4, use Visa MasterCards wherever a POS is available. 5, avoid any electronic transfer like the plague. As to whether it's authentic or not, that's not, but the principle here is that people are opposed to it. And therefore, they are sharing their views on the subject matter. As a politician who intends to take advantage, what do? That's why the essence of research and being strategic, it's very important. I am disappointed with my national organizer. I'm disappointed with my youth organizer. I'm disappointed with my women organizers. They have been nothing but a failure. They are not smart. Let's face it. I'll say it as it is. I don't care. Where is Akamba? Where is Pablo? Where is the lady, what's her name? Hanabisu. Where is she? The women are out there crying. The market women, they are there. The nurses, they are crying. The teachers, everybody crying. The young ladies, they are on social media. I've seen NDC for 18, and all of them, they are all over. People are screaming, crying. Where is the direction? How are we capitalizing on this? This is a platform of which we can introduce new people into the NDC to understand who we are and what we stand for. But everybody's quiet. And they want Ghanaians to carry us and then give it in the place us there on a silver platter. We don't want to work for it. Ghanaians have shown signs that we are with you. We don't support this. What we need is leadership. What we need is leadership. President Mahama, fantastic job. He's all over the place. Bringing in the vote, you can see thousands of people supporting him. But is he being complimented by the national organizer who is so weak, by the youth organizer, I don't know what he's made of, and the women organizer who went and stood for whatever that, once upon a time did not work out. And there are unfortunate aspects that they are coming to seek re-election. I'm so pissed off. Look at this bright opportunity. No rallies, no demonstrations, nothing. So what do we do with these 3 people? And that the survival of a political party is dependent on its organizational system, how good you are with your organizers. Because they have to go out there and bring in the numbers. Organize the people, bring in the votes. But they are MIA. They are MIA. Akamba is waste. Let's face it. At this particular moment, NDC is not flying. As of now, what I was expecting, that at least our research unit, we should see some level of surveys all of us strategically. Do you support this E-levy? Are you in support of the NDC? Let people comment. We want to hear it. We want to see. We want to get the statistics right. That if elections are held today, based on what is going on, what will be our chances? And how can we use this data and strategize in the future? How do we keep these people, grow them into 2024? That's how smart people think in politics. They are just there. This is complete nonsense. A whole NDC built from the sweat and toil of people who knew what it was all about, people who stayed and worked in the jungle just to bring us where we are today. Look at the babies that we have in there. Look at what we have in there. So this fine opportunity, it's there for us. And Sena, for me, we are going to go into 2024 by grace. I always say this, we are going to go by grace. Then we are going to look for 50+1. And that's why I use the word by grace. As opposed to total humiliation and annihilation. We can destroy the NPP in 2024 by our standards. We can decimate, we can finish the NPP thoroughly, we can beat them to pulp by over 1 million votes or 1.5 vote. I'm telling you, we can destroy the NPP at any time in 2024. But look how lackadaisical we are. Look how ignorant we are portraying ourselves to be. So we are going to go hoping that 50+1 and then we sail through. And that's where the NPP also play against. NPP, they will acknowledge that their back is against the wall. And you can see, it's obvious. It is very obvious. I just read somewhere online that they are thinking of a synod by election. They are very strategic people. They are very strategic people. What it basically means that they say what to be forewarned is to be what? Forearmed, right? As Ambassador Ali put it. This is the state we find ourselves in. These people, they're not going to go to sleep. They are coming. They are coming. And that by election, they are cooking everything possible to make sure that they have total majority in parliament, because next year they're going to present another budget. True or false? Yes. Are they going to hit a snack again? And for them, now they've seen that the NDC is blocking their booty. That's what they see. And they are pissed off. They are very pissed off. So they are going to come in different form. And you can't stop them. But like Conrad said, how strategic are we? It's like we are playing the defensive game all the time. We are playing the defensive game all the time. And when you read comments from our minority leader, Ayaraho, he equally explaining yourself for what? Who are you explaining to? You've taken a decision, you have your support. This is what we stand for. Finito. We can meet you halfway when you meet our demands. These people are not ready to play ball. Why are you explaining yourself in this position? What? For what? Huh? No. You see, Sena, they say what? 2 wrongs don't make a right. You can put it in whatever context that you want to put it. But in this particular context, sometimes 2 wrongs brings discipline, and discipline gets it right. So the people learn from their actions. And people, they don't learn. They don't learn at all. It's because they think that NDC is that, because the finance minister initially said, oh, just like we're able to get them on board to pass our ministers, we will still get them one way or the other. And that's exactly what they are doing. They are using the chiefs, they are using the pastors, they are using everybody just to get them on their side to get this thing through. So for me, the NDC, it gets to a point that, we can't be this is not who we are. We are way higher than this. We are way smarter than this. And for me, we have to approach this particular issue, look at the various advantages that are in there, and see how we can capitalize on it. It's only in the NDC that's right after election, your election machinery dies off. How? Election machinery is something that runs 24 hours every day, irrespective whether you're in power or in opposition. Your research is going on. You're taking various advantage because your job is always about winning. But the NDC, no. Right after election, everything drops. And it was a clear example, even in 2008, when we won, we came to power. We moved certain executives straight to the executive, and there was a huge gap. And it's the same thing right after 2020 election. Everything is gone. Everything is gone. That's why you see all these, opportunities. Ghanaians are pushing their NDC, but we can't take advantage of it. In one breath, we are in support. In another breath, we are not in support. This hocus pocus lifestyle attitude of the NDC leadership. So for me, it provides the opportunity, yes, but are we capitalizing on it? Are we being scientific about it? Are we being sophisticated about it? Are we being intellectual, smart, and very, very strategic about it? No. But that's the NDC. So some of us, when we criticize, they think that, we just talk and talk. Sena, we don't talk for talk's sake. This is the lifestyle. We know and we do it. How come that our social handles are weak? How come that the youth are calling for the NDC, but the youth organizer can't be found? How come the women in Ghana are screaming and crying everywhere, but the women organizer cannot be seen? How come our national organizer is nowhere to be found? That if you ask our national organizer today that, look, based on what is happening and how Ghanaians are crying everywhere, if elections are held today, what will be our percentage? I'm not sure Akamba will tell you anything. I don't know. So for me, we have our own internal problems. This is a fine opportunity, and I will continue to urge our members in parliament that at least we are pleased with, no matter how it is, it's a human institution. They should maintain focus. Ghanaians are supporting them. Ghanaians will rally behind them. Everyone, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is supporting the NDC side in Parliament. They should remain resolute and ensure that the will of the people stands tall at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And let me just do a few messages. Shelley Ahimba, is it Sabayali, says, please tell the NDC members of Parliament to immediately come out and have press conference when MPP passes any obnoxious laws like appropriation bill. Why do you always wait to do firefighting? Okay. Thank you for that message. But I could just say, do you remember during the redenomination of our currency, in which Baumia played a prominent role? The anthem was "the value is the same." What's the aftermath? You see, the city has been in a free fall. A new sing-song is the budget to bring us new Ghana beyond aid. That is what you say. Thank you very much for that message. And Bernard Kojo again wrote an earlier one where he says, digitalization for digitalization's sake is a recipe for creation of a police state. Who is controlling this data and what are they using it for? Our privacy is being invaded and we are all foolishly going along with this nonsense. This government is using this data to spy and monitor our lives. That's Bernard Kojo again who sent that one. His Royal Highness Donor says Ghanaians will suffer for the next 3 years. The media sold Ghanaians a criminal government for which they are part of. Posterity has really judged JDM war. Thank you for that message. Ajay Patrick says Ghanaians can't bite, therefore have been taken for granted. You say, they love me dearly. That's the handle. If 220 billion Ghana cedis didn't construct roads, how can 9 billion build roads? MPP is a host. That's what you say. There's more. There are a few more messages that I will just read, and then I will move on to the other issues. Governor Daglomote, thank you very much, Governor. Wonderful to see you, and good morning. Rosalina Tiogbe, good morning. Nyako, Dela Nyanko, good morning to you. Good morning to Edward Tete, who is also joining us. Thank you very much for the messages you're sending. Well, let's move on to this discussion that we're supposed to have had last week after the driver's strike and everything, the rising cost of fuel. Subsequently, we've seen a couple of changes that have happened. But are those enough? I have, it's 43 now, so I have 17 minutes more to go. So just some brief comments on that, because we are now seeing God reducing prices. The drivers are saying those reductions are not enough. We are now also reading stories about OMCs who have also decided to follow suit and also reduce their prices, fuel prices on the market. But how long can they sustain? Can they sustain that? Well, Conrad, let me start with you once again. I know you have been paying attention to what happened in Ghana in terms of the driver strike over the fuel prices. Now, it seems things have died down a little bit. And we are also hearing, because there's a report from iJoy online on 17th December, consumers of petroleum products could be the biggest beneficiaries of fuel price reduction as leading oil marketing firms slag it out by cutting prices at the pump stations. For instance, Allied Oil has reduced its price from 670 to 658. 670 pesos to 658 pesos, representing almost 2 percentage points drop. Gore has also cut prices effective this morning. It's now selling a liter of petrol and diesel at 6 cedis, 60 pesos. So even Allied is selling for less than Gore is doing. So I don't know what you think the long-term gain of this will be, because of course drivers are looking at what will happen subsequently too.
Thank you, Sena. Any reduction in fuel prices, I must say, as a starting point, is a welcome relief to Ghanaians. And so I think that the demonstration by the drivers has yielded some benefit. And I think if there's any lesson to learn from that, it means we have to keep the government on its toes. Where the government decides to excessively or allow fuel prices to go beyond what Ghanaians deem as a reasonable price, we should voice that out through the legitimate democratic means of demonstration, and we expect government to listen. But a few things happen. I mean, there's the point of whether this reduction is sustainable. That is one question, and it has two heads in terms of answering. And there's also the point about the scramble for oil price reductions. somewhere, I think the height of it was almost 6 cedi, 90 pesos roughly. And it's pared back down to about 6 cedis, 60 pesos roughly for most people, between 650 and 660, if not a little bit above 660. Although what you then find is, see, this is the interesting thing. If you have frame oil selling at 648 or 652, you have goil. Yes, goil is the largest, and there's a point around it. It's the largest fuel forecourt in Ghana, and therefore it can lead. But the danger you have here is this. If goil is the largest and caters for, say, 30% of the market, and goil reduces its price, and the rest don't quite follow, and all drivers go to goil, goil will run out quicker than it can master, because 30% cannot take care of 100%. And that's going to create a quick situation where as soon as goil is run out, the others, or even 50% reduce their price, the other 50 don't quite follow. If that 50% run out of fuel, drivers will go back to those who could not afford to reduce. And so that is a point we need to realize. I know there have been some accusations that government has used its ownership of goil, its control of goil, to force goil to reduce prices, because they were the first to actually lead on reducing prices. Of course, there is that view. Government could only force government's oil company to do it. Government couldn't force Frame Oil or force any other oil company to do so. And of course, government would have hoped that having forced goil to do so, the others will have no choice than to follow if they are to keep their market. But that can only succeed to a certain extent. To the extent that goil is able to cater for 100%, then that would have been sustainable. Albeit there's a view that people have actually gone to buy from goil, pour and wait for the price. So we welcome the relief, but the question is it actually following the market forces, and will it be sustainable? And that is where we have an issue. There are two things primarily. Of course, we've liberalized the fuel price, and at the moment there are two things that are driving fuel price in Ghana. One is our infamous cedi, our currency, the one that we were locked away in police cells so long ago, and the thing went on bail with Baumia's knowledge. You see, if you listen to the Chamber of Oil, the guys who bunk distributors and importers of oil, they have been very, very clear, exceedingly clear, that the cedi plays a massive role in how oil is priced in Ghana, because they buy their oil in cedis, not in dollars, not in Ghana cedis. Contrary to what some economic whiz-kids would want us to believe, they buy their oil in dollars. And therefore, each time the cedi depreciates, it increases the cost to them. Because if at this point, let us assume that the cedi was trading at 5. Now, if you go back to the days when we handed over in 2017, the cedi was about 4.2, between 3.9 and 4.2. Let's even call it 4.2. So anybody importing oil at that time was importing it at 4 cedis, a rate to the dollar of 4 cedis, 20 pesos. So if I bought a gallon of oil, even for $1, it's 4 cedis 20. If I come to you and I add my profit of 1 cedi, you buy it at 5. Today, the cedi is trading at between 6.6 to 6.8. So if I go to buy, I buy it at about 6.6, 6.8. So straight away, you can see that by the currency depreciating, it had a feed through into the fuel situation. And so anybody just simply say, no, we'll come to the world market, world oil prices. Oh, things are coming down. Goil can take the losses, but the others won't. And goil doesn't command 100% of the market. And the cedi is the key to this. We all know that, it's a fact. And we know the cedi is under siege because our budget is not even trusted by our external partners, those who hold our bonds. And when they sell it, they'll put pressure on our cedi. When the economy is not doing well, like the 0.4% we recorded last year, the most miserable growth rate in more than 40 years, then it puts pressure on the cedi. When we go and we borrow in dollars, come and convert to cedi, and it is boom. Every $10 million we go and borrow, come to cedi, you are looking at about 68 billion cedis, and we are happy holding KK parties. Now, at that point, it puts the cedi is happy because the cedi has got a lot of support. We have got dollars in the system that we can say, the demand and supply of currency works like in any currency. Because we are converting the dollars to cedi, so we are chasing more cedi. Cedi is stronger. The reverse happens when it's time to pay. And we now have to go and find dollars to now pay these guys. But at that time, the dollar is gone. And so you see the impact on borrowing, on recklessly managing the economy, on managing the economy on narrative is hitting the city, and that is feeding through into the fuel price. So even if fuel prices were to, oil prices per barrel were to stay static, and so now for the past several years, oil prices have been lower on average, right? When COVID happened, what happened? We were all over the moon. Because when COVID happened, oil wasn't being bought. Only China was literally buying oil at some point. So oil prices went down. But as oil prices went down, what happened to Ghana? Our fuel prices were going up, not coming down. And the clue there was that all things being equal, the city had a higher impact on our fuel price than the international, the market price for oil on the international market. And so it is very clear, if we can fix the city, the one that Baumia locked away, if we can fix it, then we can fix this. And then you come to the oil market. You see, at the moment we have Omicron. It has helped. See, this fuel price reduction, the OMG, the oil marketing companies have been clear that it's because the oil prices have come down. Fantastic. And it's because of Omicron. With Omicron, all of us are suddenly withdrawing and coming back to work from home. Companies are pulling back because it's a bit uncertain. And that is leading to the oil price now coming down because, of course, if there's less consumption, people are not driving around, there will be less demand for oil, which means the price of oil will come down. That is what is feeding into this paired reduction we are getting. It is not any active government policy. What will happen, Sena, is as soon as we prove that AstraZeneca or what you call it, Johnson & Johnson or all those vaccines are now effectively taking care of Omicron, and then economic demand picks up on the globe, oil prices start going up, guess what's going to happen? Because our CD is weak and frankly not even helping our fuel price situation, it's making it worse. When the oil price is also going up, we will have a double whammy. So if you look at it from that angle, I am not convinced, Sena, that this reduction is sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Arnold, your thoughts?
Thank you. Thank you, Sena. I think that Conrad summed it up very well. Yes, once upon a time, Sena, as Conrad put it, Baumia claimed that he had arrested the city and locked it behind bars. I think that what Baumia refused to do was that, he thought that the city was not smart like he is. Well, so he forgot to pull the key out of the prison gates. So what the city did was open it himself, put Baumia behind bars and lock Baumia. That's why Baumia can't function. That's what it basically means. So the city has rather locked Baumia, and it is not Baumia that attempted to lock the city because he was not smart to take out the keys. That's whether he locked it or he didn't lock. Maybe he knew that there was no way that he could even get his way out. On a serious other issue, Sena, it's not the reduction per se. It's how significant it is in the lives of the people that matters. If you reduce it by 2%, and the traders are still selling their items and they're not reducing the prices, we are back to square one. That's what it is. It's a demand and supply thing. And in this particular instance, we are even losing more. That is, if the government, whatever that he's claiming that they are the reason for the season, we are going to lose more. And the drivers have every right to react, because if you reduce it by 2% and sugar still costs so much, milk, sugar, milk, oil, etc., Milo, all cost so much, what's the point? You ask yourself that 2%, are you expecting that drivers will reduce their prices? When goods at Abosokan, it's on the rise like that. So when you do the math, you'd realize that it's just a joke. It's a gimmick. And that's why the people have seen through it and they are raising concerns about it. What the government, a smart government, would do is that you would want to, stimulate growth. And here, because, we have a lazy government that has tied its success to the pump, i.e. purchase of only gas to rake in the right revenue. When it gets hit, they are in disarray. They don't know how to think outside the box.
But ideally, what you may want to look at is that look at the various avenues of which makes it so hard for the Ghanaian, ordinary Ghanaian, both the one that the passenger, the driver, whoever, right, to have that relief. Rent is a problem in Ghana. Bills, water, electricity, phone bills, on and on and on. These are all major issues that confront Ghanaians. School fees, everything. And here I'm not talking about the propaganda that these people did or what they claim that they are doing. Real life issues. These are the things that confront Ghanaians. How do you provide incentives to ensure that, okay, even if you're selling gas for, let's say, 20 cedis, at the pump, because domestically, the ordinary Ghanaian is not struggling to put body and soul together in paying rent, water bill, getting transportation, etc., right? They will still have that relief to go ahead and pay so that, you can make some money at the end of the day. But they're not looking at it from that angle. They don't have what it takes to stimulate growth in crisis moments like this. So what they've done is that they are trying to play this give-me game, pretending that they are caring and they are doing something for the people, but in reality, they are not doing anything for them. For me, I'll still come back to what the main issues are. This government has squandered everything in the kitty. That's the statement of fact. This government, all of them, I can tell you, at least 95%. You don't need the Holy Spirit to tell you what it is. You can't tell me that their accounts are dry, like the ordinary Ghanaian. You can only say that once upon a time, maybe you claim that you didn't have money, but now you can't tell me that you don't have money, right? So they are good. Their families are good. Their children are good. Their investments all over the world, they are doing pretty well. They know that they are not going to be in government forever. They know it's a statement for that. That's not going to happen. Even if they choose to be in government forever, others will go and others will come. But fortunately, they are not even going to survive 2023 or 2024. Only God knows what's going to happen. So for them, they are okay. It is up for the NDC to pick the pace. It is up for the NDC to stop saying that Ghanaians are not angry enough. What do you expect Ghanaians to do now? You are the government in waiting. You are supposed to show leadership. You are supposed to control, using the words advisably, the mindset of Ghanaians in a pattern for them to see what you bring to the table, what you're capable of doing to ensure that this humongous devilish system that we have, it's wiped out. As they say, you can't fight darkness, you bring light and darkness will disappear. Bring that light, NDC, for this darkness to disappear. Let the people have faith and trust in you. Your leadership qualities will stand out. As for President Muhammad, he stands tall. He stands tall. However, our own internal mechanism structures, the supportive system to complement, these are the ones that we have to work on. And I would say that, Sena, it's about time the NDC take the bull by the horn, owns up to the responsibility, and begin to show the way. There are those who say that if you put out your ideas, they will pick. So don't put out your ideas. There are those that say, allow them to wallow in whatever the situation so that they learn lessons from it. And there are those who say, well, Ghanaians deserve it. They called for it. And, Sena, as an analyst, I bring in all these things so that we can all understand that we appreciate the views and opinions of people and we can form the right decisions. As to whatever it is, someone will have to own up to the responsibility at the end of the day. And that is the NDC. We have no excuse whatsoever. If Ghanaians are not angry enough, you are the next in line to take over. So you should lead that anger. You should lead that anger and you get their support. But if you call and then you criticize Ghanaians or you give excuses, then, it leaves much to be desired. So for me, I would want to urge the NDC to seize the moment, to regroup, rebrand, and begin to sell itself. Let's sell ourselves for who we are. Also, the various branches that we have, all parts of the world, as long as the NDC is concerned, we have to begin to activate them to start working properly as they are supposed to. As for the NDC USA leadership, I know that we'll throw them out very soon and bring in people who understand what they're about. And then we can see what's next. I believe that UK will also do what they have to do. We are going into 2024 not just as beggars. We are not going to 2024 as persons who are scared. We are not going to 2024 as persons who will be hoping that, you know, somebody will. No, we are going to 2024 with decisions well firm that it's a takeover. That's for the NDC. And every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the NDC would have to play his or her part. But all will still boil down to the leadership, how leadership will rally the people to be able to achieve that result. And Ghanaians in the United States, I can tell you, Sena, look, anytime the people think that NPP do have more people than the NDC in the diaspora or abroad. It's not true. It is never true. The problem has been the fact that NDC has not paid key attention to the international, the NDC members in abroad, Ghanaians in abroad, and organized itself strategically to attract the people. But I believe that before 2024, we'll get all these things put in place so that we can deal with this NPP and wipe them off one time and for all. But with Ghanaians, I can say that let's all keep pushing. Let's all keep pushing. Let's hold this government task. Accountability and probity is very important. Okay. If they have nothing to offer, as clearly they've shown, let's be ready to push them aside and bring back the NDC to continue in good ways. Thank you, Senator.
And on this day, today is the 19th of December 2021, so certainly will be our last show, because next Sunday will be 26th December. That's Boxing Day. The day, the one that follows will be 2nd January. And you know how we don't joke with our New Year celebrations here in Ghana. Yeah. So definitely that's an impossibility. So it is our last show, and I have Arnold is president of NDC Pro Forum in the US. Conrad is president of NDC Pro Forum in the UK. The two of them work together to bring you this show. And so it's wonderful to have the two of them online. And so if you have any parting words for the people who have been watching us constantly, making time to watch, some of them come to watch after we are done. Sometimes the numbers after we are done and the numbers a few days after tell you that a lot of people even watch the show later than when we are live on. What would you say to them ahead of the Yuletide?
Me first?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, sir. Well, I would want to say thank you to all Ghanaians, those who watch us, those who are in support of us, and even those who are not to support that. At the end of the day, we are still alive. As long as we breathe, we still have hope. We appreciate each and every one. Ghana is all we have. On this Christmas, I want to wish them well, their families, they should stay safe, and pray that the good Lord will continue to strengthen us. And let's make sure that this pandemic is not something that will bring us down, but we will be more responsible to carry us through. On our part here, Sena, everything that we have every energy that we can contribute to ensure that our mother country stands tall and become competitive and provides the opportunity for the future generation. We shall continue to do. God bless us all. Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas to all Ghanaians. Thank you.
Thank you. Conrad?
Well, thank you very much, Sena, and thank you very much to all the cherished listeners who have tuned in over the last year. This has been a tumultuous year, but thank you for being with us, for your feedback, the criticism, the encouragement, and making this program better, all in the interest of our dear party, our mother party. This Pro Forum Hour, although sponsored by the Pro Forum, is in the interest of the party. And I just wanted to be very clear that certainly as a member of the executive, I'm a branch chairman in the UK, I know my brother Arnold has talked about the wind of change, but definitely in the UK, there is no plan for the Pro Forum or any institution or group I'm part of to spearhead a change of any executives. It is the duty of our members to decide in terms of maintaining leadership. I think the NDC we have done very well. Like any institution, there is room for improvement, and certainly we must improve if we must capture the reins of power and make the lives of Ghanaians better. But we are stronger together. Pro Forum is not distinct from the NDC. We are NDC. All of us are NDC. We are Ghanaians. And whatever we are doing should be in support of our party. And to the extent that it is not, then we should not be doing that. So I just want to make that very clear. But I want to thank Arnold. I want to thank my colleagues in the US, Michael and our brother Richard Ahilja, to thank Sam and all the great guys, Jibril, all the guys who made this Fire Festival. We did it in 2021. We can do it in 2022. I want to thank Richard on the program here, Richard Kwanzaa, yourself, Sena. Without you, this show wouldn't be possible. We thank you for giving us a mouthpiece. We're still working on your Christmas present. We haven't forgotten. And we are very confident that in 2022, we can work together to make sure we can discuss issues pertinent to the development of Ghana and nothing else. We can discuss issues to strengthen our party and nothing else. The party should be going forward. And certainly, if we can make it better, we cannot pull it back. And we should be working to make sure that the livelihoods of our families and friends in Ghana and anybody in Ghana is better off by virtue of this program, nothing more, nothing less. So on this note, a Merry Christmas from myself, my branch Milton Keynes in the UK, and to all our friends on this side of the Atlantic, to you in Ghana. May you have a Merry Christmas. May you be more fulfilled in the coming new year. And we shall be back, and we will speak with you in the new year after you've had time to rest with family and friends. Be safe, and let's see ourselves in the new year. Thank you for bearing with us and listening to us, and God bless us all.
And a big thank you for myself and Richard Kwanzaa here. We're grateful that you go beyond the basic part of the show we do, and also to our welfare most of the time. And we're grateful to you, the two of you, and to the several people through which you do that. Comrade Richard Ahlinja has been particularly always there. He is the producer from outside. So we're always having conversations with him. A big thank you to Comrade Richard Ahlinja, like he said, to Michael Ahlinja. Emmanuel Owusu does a lot of work from here in Ghana. He joined at some point, and he's taken over the mantle, and he's doing a good job. So I'd like to say a big thank you to the two of you for staying with the initiative that was started. The UK coming on board, the US working together, and we hope this continues to grow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to Emmanuel. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I wish the NDC Pro from UK, US, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And also to the mother body here in Ghana, led by Ambassador Sam P. Yale. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you. And thank you. And extend my greetings to the Milton Keynes branch of the NTC. Very interesting people there. I have a lot of friends there. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Conrad Dumba and Arnold Apia. Conrad Dumba joined us from the UK. Arnold Apia joined us from the US. Thank you. Well, so they are representatives of the two groups that put together the NDC, the Pro Forum Hour that you've been watching and listening to for some time now. I'd like to say a big thank you to all of you. My name is Sena Nombo. I can see Kwame Nansa, who is also known as the DJ, talking about dreadlocks and everything. Please, if you come and you see my head, do I have dreadlocks on my head? These things must stop in the new year. In the new year, we must speak to facts, only facts. When you don't see dreadlocks on people's head, you don't say people have dreadlocks. But a good evening to Kwame Nansa and to the several of you. Godfrey Daglomote, Habib, I saw Vizik, the several of you who continue to constantly, Auntie Maggie, my good brother Nee Brown, Jeb Morgan, several of you who come to watch the Pro Forum Hour constantly. And I want to say a big thank you to you for making time on Sundays to do that. Sundays are days where a lot of you would like to tune out, but you still make time to come and watch. I'll see all of you tomorrow morning on the Go Power Drive. Do make a date. We have a lot to talk about, very interesting things to talk about. It's very interesting questions to raise about some of the things that has happened in Parliament since last Friday. Oh, we'll have a lot to talk about. A lot. So do meet us tomorrow. And my name is Sena Nombo. Show producing house by Richard Kwanzaa. A big thank you to Comrade Richard Ahlinja, Emmanuel Owusu, Michael Ahlinja. Thank you very much. And thank you to the NDC Pro from UK and US. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.